Alright guys, welcome back to another video, and today we're here to do a video on Stern versus Jersey Jack. As somebody who owns currently one machine of each one, I wanted to talk about the differences and what I've seen playing, these machines here for the last few months, and what I like about, things that Jersey Jack does on their machines and things that Stern does on their machines. And of course, I have more experience than just the two machines I own at home. I got recently, yesterday, I was actually playing Jaws from Stern. I ended up playing Godzilla yesterday. Finally, I played a bunch of other, pinball machines over the last few months as well. I do want to try the new Avatar from Jersey Jack whenever I get down there. I actually know somewhere in my area that has one, kind of in my area. It's like an hour away that I want to get down to and try that machine out. So yeah, I've had some experience on both of them. I've tried out and John from Jersey Jack on one of the locations I went to over the summer, and I actually did a review on the arcade place and stuff. So I definitely have my fair share. So after having all that experience and what I've learned so far, I wanted to talk about, my home arcade, what the future holds for Jersey Jack versus Stern, which one I'm going to end up buying one in the future if I end up buying another machine and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and get into the video.
Gaming tech, eating brekkie is the gaming tech. Going for a brekkie is the gaming tech. Gaming tech is the gaming tech. Gaming techie.
All right, guys, so again, we're going to start off with a comparison here, and I think we're going to start off with the most obvious thing that is really apparent when you stare at these machines and you're walking by them side by side, which is, of course, the fact that you have the DMD here, and you see that Stern does a DMD on the bottom here. Pretty decent sized DMD screen. I have no complaints with the actual. I actually don't know the exact size of it. I probably should have looked that up before. But it's the same Stern size that we all see from them. And then you have the back glass there on the top. Jersey Jack does it a little bit differently. As you can see, they still have a back glass of sorts on top. This one being the collector's edition of Toy Story 4. But then they have a massive back glass. So obviously, as you can see, comparison-wise, it is a much bigger screen on here than you can see on Stranger Things for Stern. And I think that more comes down to personal preference. I don't personally think one is better than the other. I do like being able to see more of the artwork on top and stuff like that. And I still think the DMD is plenty big over here. It's not like it's too small. Like when I look at my, at games, for example, here, that DMD screen is definitely, small. I wish that was bigger in comparison. But I don't look at obviously Stranger Things or anything like that in any way, shape, or form. But that is the most notable difference when you see these machines for sure, is that you're going to see that DMD size difference in how they do their machines. To me, the actual size and stuff like that does not matter. It's all about what's happening on the actual screens that we'll talk about later. The next thing we're going to talk about with these machines is definitely price. Jersey Jack definitely has higher pricing than Stern machines. You can get these Stern Pro machines starting at like $7,000. You can get Stern Premiums from like 9 to 10, and then sometimes they have their LE models and stuff like that that go a little bit above that. But for Jersey Jack machines, they, if you want them new in box when they first come out here, like when Toy Story first came out, they had the regular LE version, and that was $12,000. The CE edition, which you're looking at here, is $15,000. Now, granted, I didn't pay anywhere near those amounts for. I didn't pay 12 or 15 for this machine. I did get it used, but it had hardly any plays on it. But I got it substantially lower than both of those prices. But regardless, if you want them for that, if you want a Jersey Jack and you want it when it comes out and you want new in box, it's going to cost you $12,000 at least, or 15 for their CEs. And there's obviously a lot of people out there who will tell you that they don't know if it's worth the price of admission, depending on, comparing a Stern, where they can get 2 pros of a Stern for the price of, essentially one Jersey Jack collector's edition, or even their LE models, which is just a little bit more. So the Jersey Jacks are definitely really expensive, and it definitely holds me back when I think about it for that exact reason. I can get another Stern in here for a substantially less amount of money, especially used ones, than you can, Jersey Jack. But I will say Jersey Jacks don't seem to hold their value as much as Stern, where even a used Stern will still go for around the same area. Like a Stern Stranger Things is still going for like 8, or more for a premium, even though it's been around for a while and the game's been around for a while. Where this one here, like I said, I got it for substantially less than even what the LE costs. So it is it's not going to hold its value as well as a Stern machine does, at least most of their games. The only one that I think Jersey Jack has right now that is actually holding its value is the Elton John machine that a lot of people love. But none of the other ones are really holding their value, so that's something to keep in mind if you're buying new in box. If that's something that concerns you and you're looking to keep the value, that's something to keep in mind, with Avatar and stuff like that coming in the future. The next thing that really leans me to Stern here when we talk about this is, of course, their online connected play. As you see on this machine here, you have something called Insider Connect, and I think a lot of us, know what that is at this point when it comes to Insider Connect. And unfortunately, they don't have anything with Jersey Jack right now. There's rumors that they have something coming out, but that's been rumored for a while. So God knows if they're going to add it back to. Even if they do come out with it, are they going to go back and add it to their Toy Story and their other games that have been out? Who knows? But Insider Connect is really an awesome feature. And for those of you guys who don't know what it is, essentially it's you use your phone, you scan your QR code, and that lets you, put your name into here so you can actually see, your stats and stuff like that. So it makes it a lot more fun. You can see how many, your highest score in a game. You can see, you can unlock different achievements. They've actually even added little missions now that they do in certain games, like in Jaws, that they started doing little missions that you can actually keep track and level up and stuff like that. So it just gives more variety for the game. So you can see here it's waiting for someone to scan in. So instead of just pressing A and just playing with nothing to keep track of score, besides whatever the game keeps track of local leaderboards and stuff, you can actually, be on Internet Connected and handle all that. And they're working on apparently adding online play so you can actually play against somebody else at the same time, which is going to be huge if they do that. But right now it's just all based on leaderboards and missions and achievements. But still, it's so much fun when you're playing a game and an achievement pops up and it's like, hey, you earned this achievement. And a lot of times they have custom callouts for those achievements as well. That is really cool. That makes it more engaging to play in the game as you're going after it. And you can look at the app and be like, oh, what achievement do I want to try and earn? And how many times have I actually, like Stranger Things has a stat tracking thing that tells you how many times you've killed him and how many times you've actually put the ball in its mouth and things like that are just cool to keep track of and see. And, unfortunately, Jersey Jack here has nothing of that sort right now. So that is a big thing for me as somebody who loves that kind of stuff and loves online play that they're rumored to come out with on this thing, but even just the achievements and stuff and seeing them pop up on the display and being able to scan and then go to different bars and stuff like that and still use my profile that pops up, and then I can go back and be like, hey, how much did I earn in that game when I went to that bar? And I can see all the pinball games that I've played at every single bar out there that has this connected feature at all their Stern machines. And unfortunately, Jersey Jack, you need to get together with that, because that is the main reason that if I add another machine in here and I move this At Games Legends to my retro arcade, at some point next year when I pay a few things off that I want to pay off first, so I can pay this in cash. If I end up getting a good deal for it and bringing another machine in here, I've talked about it. I'm thinking about bringing either a Jaws, an Avatar, or a Godzilla in here, and I'm always leaning towards a Stern machine. And the biggest number one reason for that for me right now, over anything else besides the price that we just talked about, is definitely Insider Connected being on a Stern. So, and I think that's that way for a lot of people. I think once you get addicted to that Insider Connect platform, it's going to be hard to go to Jersey Jack and have nothing to look forward to there. So hopefully that's something that Jersey Jack definitely adds here relatively soon, and they go back and add it to their other machines, and they can be on par. And speaking of Insider Connect, you can see the little advertisement popping up right now of them advertising exactly how that works and collecting achievements and badges and stuff like that. Again, a very fun way to do things and compare people on leaderboards, and you can see who has the highest score and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. Now, on the side point of that, going back now to a benefit of Jersey Jack, is I think their animations and what they actually do on the back glass and the DMD in comparison of what Stern does, is I think their animations and stuff are usually vastly superior to what Stern is doing, even though Stern has gotten better in their latest tables. Like I just played Jaws yesterday, like I talked about, and the animations on there were really good. And Godzilla had some great animations on the back glass, or on their DMD, I should say. But they still do, Jersey Jack seems to have a better handling system for just doing more on their backlash and versus the Stern DMD. I'm talking about like like the Spike 2 system that Stern is using. Essentially, it's been around for a while. I think they're gonna do some vastly superior things when they get to whenever that platform moves up to Spike 3. But with Spike 2 versus I don't know exactly what the name of the system that Jersey Jack uses is. They could just do a lot more. I mean, the fact that I know that this may not be the craziest thing for everyone, but the fact that you can actually come in here and actually take a picture of yourself every time you get a high score because there's like a camera up there that takes your picture, like you just saw it pop up before, is really cool. Because then when you see somebody, when it shows you Grand Champion on this machine, can you actually get it to just look?
Who needs a kid's
Yeah, so you can see here, this game takes your picture, so you can actually take pictures and stuff, and then you can scroll through the menu, and you can see like my name is on there for Super Smitters Champion and stuff like that. And there is, I'm looking for something specifically, if it's actually going to show up here. And it looks like my cousin actually beat me at my multi-ball. I need to knock him off of there. I didn't know he overtook me. But see, when you see Grand Champion and stuff, it actually shows the crazy pictures that I took. And is that a big deal to other people? Maybe not, but to me, it just adds that cool factor of like, if somebody else becomes Grand Champion, they can take quirky pictures like me and do that stuff. So it's just a cool thing that Jersey Jack does that they don't do. They don't have any cameras or anything on any of their Stern machines, and I think that's a cool little feature that is cool to have on a Jersey Jack machine. Something that separates themselves from that idea. So it is really cool, and the camera's actually sitting right there at the bottom if you see it there, right in the middle. And like I said, just their animations in general, just on Toy Story, all the things that are going on this screen that are scrolling through while you're playing and stuff, definitely are, especially compared to Stranger Things. Stranger Things is really good, and I like the animations and stuff that are on the screen, but it doesn't hold a candle to all the animations and stuff that happen on the Toy Story with everything that goes on that backlash. And I think that's the case for most comparisons to what goes on. Just watch the Avatar trailer on what goes on in the backlash and stuff, and all the animations that they have going on along with the movie clips and stuff. They look really good. They're animated really well. Again, Stern has lately gotten better over the past year with their other machines, with Jaws and X-Men that we've seen and stuff, but I still think that Jersey Jack definitely has a lead in that department when it comes to that. Obviously, the rest of this, though, is they're pretty much on par or the same. They obviously have the same size legs. They have a very similar structure to the pinball machines in the front. You can see, the artwork and stuff on the side. Obviously, it's different artwork, but it's all the same pinball, type things with the DMD and the backlash and stuff like that. They're both 76 inches in height, so you're not going to get any difference there. They're all pretty similar. When it comes to the rest of the stuff on how they handle, you could see this area over here is obviously very similar to how Jersey Jack does things, along with different artwork and obviously and stuff, but it is very similar to how that works. I will say one of the things also that leans me to Stern machines a lot is also the fact that if I want to mod a game, obviously since more people are buying Stern and stuff like that, and it seems to be way more popular than Jersey Jack machines, price being one of those big factors, and of course, Stern has a lot more more pinball machines out there in comparisons to Jersey Jack. Jersey Jack releases like one game a year. Stern will release a few, so they're definitely ahead in how many actual releases there are. That's for sure. But you can get so many more mods for the Stern type games. Like when I first looked at Stranger Things, I don't even have every mod for this yet. And I showed you guys a video that I did that has over 20 mods on this machine. Little things like putting this here for Stranger Things, a light up start button that they were making. Obviously that one has it too, but flipper buttons, the glow sticks, the thing that go on the flippers. You have the arcade sign back there for Stranger Things. You have the dig dug thing. You got the ABCD thing going on in the background there. There's just mods all over this thing that I can't even remember because I've done so many. You got the LED buttons there on the back. There's just a bunch of different things. You got the speaker lights that I did back there. A bunch of different things that you can do with this machine that, it's just insane. The amount of mods that Stern machines get, especially when it's a really good game. Godzilla, which is one of the ones I'm considering, for next year at some point, like I was talking about, has so many mods for it that it's hard to keep up. It's literally, you can make the whole playfield look like a whole different game. And now Stern actually added their own. These lights are by Speaker Lights Kits, which I did a video on. But now Stern actually created their own lights that actually interact with the game. So these lights here are really cool looking, and I love them, and I wouldn't change them, but they don't interact with the game in any way. And now Stern actually has their own coming out that you can just add into the system, and it has, it's all coded with the game, so the lights will reflect what's happening in the game and stuff, which is super cool. Of course, can't do that with Jersey Jack because their speakers are done very differently. You can see up there that their speakers are sitting there on top, and it's not the same as the these speakers that Stern uses here. That gives it a lot more of a visual profile to be able to add LED lights on here, where these are much smaller. So the modding capabilities, like I said, are pretty huge when it comes to that. And it just makes the machine more fun to use because you can always add something to it as more mods are coming out. Like I added the Toy Story mods, but when I got the collector's edition, there wasn't much to add. I added the start button right here, as you can see. I added the Mezzo mods like wrap around there to make that look like an Etch-a-Sketch. I added some characters on there, like the aliens back there in the corner, which I think look awesome. And, some of those characters as well. The multi-ball sign, some stickers on the Forky, but it's nothing insane that's changing the playfield in any way, like you could with Stranger Things and Godzilla and all the other machines. But, the only one that I want on Toy Story that I don't have that's sold out because, it came out a while ago is the Slinky mod that goes right here that I'm hopefully someone finds and sells me one if they have their own. But that's pretty much the only mod that I don't have that's on here. But, yeah, it's pretty insane. Like I said, all different mods that you can get for these Stern machines. That makes it more fun to be an owner, to make it your own compared to what people do on the Jersey Jack machines. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. I mean, I just wanted to give you guys a quick rundown of what I've learned from, having a Stern machine and a Jersey Jack machine. I definitely have my pros and cons for both. The next machine in this house will probably be a Stern because that's where I'm leaning towards. The biggest number one reason, like I talked about, is the Insider Connected features. It's the fact that their games get a lot more mods that can make the game a lot more fun to own and do things to spice the game up, which is really awesome. Jersey Jack, I love them because they seem to make themes that speak to me just as much. I know a lot of people, Toy Story is my favorite Pixar movie of all time. And even though Avatar is getting a lot of hate online for a thing that nobody really wanted, Avatar is my favorite 3D movie of all time. So it makes the theme in and of itself speaks to me. But, you got to take more into account than just the theme. Obviously, Stern has an amazing amount of different pinball machines out there, and there's plenty of themes that speak to me out there too. Jaws is a theme that I can definitely get behind. It's not my favorite theme ever, but it's a theme that I know and I can get behind, and if the game plays that much better, I could do. So more than likely, as much as I love Avatar, it probably won't be the one that I choose because of the modding thing and because of Insider Connected being such a big deal. If Jersey Jack ever adds something similar to a Insider Connected thing for all their machines and they go back and add it to, Avatar and Toy Story and stuff, then I'll have a much harder time deciding on which game I want in my lineup when I make that choice next year if they add it, anytime soon. But other than that, I mean, everything is about personal preference. Like I said, the DMD size is still really big on here. I don't have any issues looking at it, and I love, having the art there. They do things differently with their back glass being bigger, which is fine, but what stands out is the fact that their animations and what they're doing on that screen is definitely usually a lot more interactive and a lot more going on and a lot cooler to look at, I guess you can say, when it comes to Avatar that I've seen and Toy Story here and the pictures that everybody could take as you see them scrolling right now. These are all my family that played, and it shows like the high scores for everybody and what they got. And with everyone taking their picture, it just adds a little bit more fun to see those pictures of how they were looking when we actually got those high score that they don't do on here. So again, the Spike 2 system is definitely not as powerful as what system Jersey Jack is doing and using on there when it comes to animations and what goes on these screens here. But, it's not going to be my make or break when it comes to making a decision because I think the other two reasons that I mentioned before are a bigger thing when it comes to what I'm going to choose with Insider Connect and the modding and stuff when I'm comparing these two. But it is something that, like, when you have a Jersey Jack or when you play a Jersey Jack and you compare them back and forth, you're like, yeah, their animations and stuff are, top tier when it comes to that and what's going on that screen. So it is fun for me to own one of each. And I think that's a great way to do it if you're a fan of, pinball in general. Which is exactly what I did, is that I just said, you know what? I want to experience both sides. I don't want to just have all Sterns. I don't want to just have all Jersey Jack. Let me experience one of each. Then I can do videos like this, or I can experience what they both do differently And, that's what I'm going to do. It just so happens that, I found a way to fit a third one over there that I talked about before with having shorter legs and stuff. And that will more than likely be a stern because the Insider Connect is just that much fun. And I love going to bars and stuff now and just scanning my thing there and keeping track of all the scores that I do around and then comparing it to the world and stuff is just another cool way to have achievements and see what you're doing and keep you coming back. That's the whole point, right? Is they want you coming back and playing those stern machines and getting those achievements and stuff. And if they add online multiplayer to it, that's going to be a huge deal whenever they add that because that's been talked about coming for a while now. But yeah, other than that, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and got some ideas on what makes these machines different. I'm having a blast owning Stranger Things and modding the hell out of this thing. Having a blast with Toy Story being my favorite Pixar film and playing that. And it being like a beginner-friendly, pinball machine where Stranger Things is much harder. It's great having one of each. People last longer on Toy Story when they're playing, and then they die immediately on Stranger Things, as I've seen everybody and all my friends who have come over. They don't last very long on Stranger Things, but they love the UV lights and everything. But on Toy Story, they can play for much longer, and they can have a lot more fun. So it is cool having one of each. We'll see what ends up coming into here, at maybe first quarter or second quarter of next year, depending on where, when I finish paying a few things off and where I end up, if I end up getting, a stern or an avatar, because that's essentially all it's coming down to. Do I want an avatar or do I want something from stern? But yeah, having fun owning both of these machines. I think it's, if you have an arcade room and you can afford it, I definitely think it's worth owning one of each to experience both sides of it because I think they're both fun to own is what it comes down to. But if I had to make one choice on what I could buy for the rest of the time, and it can only be one as of right now for the reasons I said, definitely stern for me all the way. So thank you guys for watching. Till next time.